So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today, we got my man, Glenn Lundy, on the show. I am super excited to have you on the show, my man. What an outstanding online presence you have.
Oh, well, thank you so much, man. And I'm super excited to be here as well. I really appreciate you sharing this space and time with me. It means everything to me.
Man, you got some great content out there. You got the Rise and Grind podcast. You got all types of stuff going on. I want to get a better understanding of why all of this and where this all came from. So, give me a 3 or 4 minute, if you could, short and sweet backstory so people can get a better understanding of how this all came about.
Yeah, so Rise and Grind is my daily morning show, right? Monday through Friday, I go live at 5:30 a.m. with motivation, education, and inspiration. And really where it came from, when I initially started the first show, January 6th, 2018, we did the first show mainly because I noticed there was a lot of negativity, a lot of violence, things like that online and in social. And I was complaining about it, right? I was complaining about it. And it hit me like, don't complain about it. Do something about it. Like, be about it, bro. Like, create that space. And so I wanted to create a space with motivation, education, inspiration to kind of distract from all the other nonsense that was going on out there. And then layered with that, I am a firm believer that if we can change the way you start your day, it'll make a massive impact in your life. And so I'd been teaching a lot of my people. I ran a dealership at the time. And so I was teaching my employees great, powerful morning routines and habits that were shifting their lives. And I've just always had this passion for the mornings, right? It's so crucially important. So I thought, well, let's create a show with motivation, education, inspiration. We'll put it first thing in the morning so we can change the way people start their day. And to be honest with you, there was a little bit of a business branding aspect behind it too, because I was running a dealership. And so I used to start every show the same way. I'd say, my name is Glenn Lundy. I'm a husband to 1, a father to, back then it was like 4 or 5. Now I'm going on 8. I got all kinds of kids, right? But I'm a husband to 1, a father to 5, the general manager at Dan Cummins Chevrolet and Buick in Paris, Kentucky, the second largest used car franchise dealership in America. It's 5:30 a.m. and I hope you're ready to rise and grind. So I was able to layer all 3 things. And so it just made sense, right? Create that space, help change the way people start their day, and do some marketing and branding behind it for my company. And so it made sense. And that was really the initial idea and concept behind Rise and Grind. There was some deeper aspects to it as far as something that I needed to serve in myself. I had a season of my life where I experienced homelessness. And in that homelessness, people always think the worst part of homelessness is that you're hungry or that you're broke or that you don't have a house. But really the worst part of homelessness is you become invisible. People don't want to make eye contact with you, which I don't blame them. They think you're going to mug them or you're going to ask them for money or make them feel some type of guilt or shame. And so that invisible feeling is not something I'd wish on my worst enemy. And so behind the scenes, from a spiritual aspect, and I feel I have a responsibility because God brought me through that season to give back. And so I wanted to create a space where people could be seen, where they could feel seen. And so on every single show, I say good morning to all the people that are watching. I spend 30 minutes after the show going back and replying to everybody's comments. I want everyone to feel visible and understand that they have worth and that they have value and that the decisions that they make matter. So combining all of those things together, we launched #Rise and Grind in January of 2018. And Now we're 756 episodes in.
Listen, I've been podcasting for 4 years and I only have 390 episodes. So this is insane. Oh my God. I have so many questions for you.
Sure.
But first, a quick little message. If you're a business owner who wants to significantly grow your audience online and needs help dialing in your message to attract the right clients, check out this free video training that will help you position yourself more effectively and improve your brand's online presence. Visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/brand strategy. All right, we are back, and man, I have so many questions for you. So as entrepreneurs, business owners, we can very easily get caught up in our own heads, right or wrong.
No doubt.
Right?
No doubt.
And there's moments where you wake up and you say to yourself, why am I doing this? Have I done this all wrong? Am I going to be doing this 10 years from now? Should I be doing this 10 years from now? Oh my God. I'm waiting on this last payment from this one client and it's getting it's getting real tight between my next Amex bill and this payment, right? And the list goes on. Yes, I agree with you 1,000%. The way you start your morning is going to determine the trajectory of that day. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about how we as entrepreneurs and business owners that are perhaps feeling that right now, especially during the economic climate and the global climate of what's going on in 2020. How do we work through that and get all of those limiting beliefs or that scarcity mindset either calm or removed so we can continue on our journey?
Yeah, so there's actually multiple components to that, to which we were just referring to. And the first one is I just want to start with letting everyone know that commitment does not care how you feel. Let's just get real clear about that, right? When you make a commitment, by definition, commitment doesn't care how you feel. Doesn't care if you're tired, doesn't care if you feel like doing it or not, whether you're scared or you're anxious. Commitment in itself, in its essence, cares zero about anything else other than you determined you were going to take an action and you're required to do so. So I made a commitment on January 6th of 2018 that I would do a live show at 5:30 a.m. Monday through Friday forever, if that's how long it takes to reach all of the people that I feel I have a responsibility to reach. And so you got to start there, right? You have to understand that commitment, you're never going to feel like it, right? Like Joe Rogan talks about this. Like you're never going to, I shouldn't say never, you're not always going to feel like it, but how you feel doesn't matter when it comes to commitment. The second part of what I want to refer to in regards to your question there, as far as like, how do we continue to shape and remove those doubts? I want you to picture real quick with me, Henry, just picture a champagne tower, right? You're at some beautiful wedding back when we were allowed to go to weddings, right? And there's this big, beautiful wedding. There's this big, beautiful champagne tower. And the way a champagne tower works is when you pour the champagne into the very top of the tower, it literally trickles down into every aspect of that tower, right? Into every other glass. Well, our mind works the same way. It's just like a champagne tower. So whatever's going into that champagne tower is ultimately going to trickle out into every different aspect of your life. It's going to affect your friends, your family members, your coworkers. Everything that you put in is going to travel through that champagne tower at some point and make an impact on all aspects and areas. So now I want you to take that champagne tower, that proverbial champagne tower, and I want you to take a little tiny bit of red food coloring and just drop a couple drops there in that top glass. Well, what's going to happen, right? It's going to continue to float down and it's going to trickle until it permeates every single glass in that tower just by nature, by design. Well, that's what's happening in our heads. So right now with the media and COVID and masks and all of that stuff, any of that negativity is basically it's a drop of red food coloring. It's going into our mind and it's trickling into every area of our lives. Now, knowing that, once we know that that's how that works, what is the solution, Henry? What is the only way that we're going to get that red food coloring out of that champagne tower? The only way to do it is we have to continue to pour good, clean, clear champagne into that top glass. And that's the answer and the solution for people all around the world today is we can't avoid those red food coloring drops. They're going to get in there. But what we can do is we can continue to wash those out by filling our minds with positive, powerful, abundant thoughts, right? That are going to encourage, uplift, and energize. Videos, audiobooks, books that we can read, getting around the right people, podcasts, different things. We got to fill our minds to continue to wash out all that negativity. And that really leads us to the third aspect where the best time to do that, the most powerful time is first thing in the morning. Man, if you can take an hour each day to feed your mind, body, and spirit the positive champagne that it needs to wash out everything that's going to come throughout the day, that's the ticket. That's the golden ticket. That's the secret, whatever you want to call it. That's the way to do it.
So what are some of those morning rituals that you've...
Yeah, so I believe... Oh, sorry. You froze up there for a sec.
Go ahead.
Well, as you were asking your question, it froze up for a sec, so I didn't hear your whole question.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the question was, what are some of the morning rituals that you've been so disciplined to incorporate into your life these days that have helped you, energize, stay focused, and help you build your brand and business?
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you asked, Henry. I actually wrote a tiny little ebook about this. I call it the Morning Five Simple Steps to an Extraordinary Life. And here's what I've been doing and what I've been teaching, what's been working for tens of thousands of people all around the world is step one, we never hit the snooze button. And there's a lot of science behind that. There's a lot of reasoning behind that. Step two, don't touch your phone first thing in the morning. There is nothing in there that can't wait. I promise. There's nothing, right? So your emails, your texts, all of that stuff, it can wait. Serve yourself first. Step three is gratitude and goals. You need to sit down and write down the things that you're thankful for, and then also write your goals. Now, I know that sounds like two steps to a lot of people, right? Gratitude's one, goals is another. But I consider that one step, and here's why. I think everyone's been told at some point in their life they need to write their goals. But what I found in my experience is that when you are writing your goals from a place of lack, it is actually a negative energy versus a positive energy. So if I wake up every day and I'm like, I wish I was better looking. I wish I had more money. I wish I had a bigger house, right? If I'm saying all of those things, that can actually make me feel less than. And so it's very important that we start with, I am so thankful for my health and my body. I am so thankful for my home. I'm so thankful for my finances. And then we write our goals. We want to stretch for a bigger house. That's great. We want to make more money. That's great, right? We can stretch to those things, but we need to find gratitude with how far we've already come. That shifts the energy and it actually boosts your ability to reach those goals and targets because now you're doing it from a positive place versus a negative. So I consider that one step, gratitude and goals. Step four is we've got to take care of the physical. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. An object at rest stays at rest. So you've got to get the body moving, get the heart flowing. I don't care if you crawl, walk, run, high jump, skip, skedaddle, whatever the heck it is you like to do. Just get the body moving, man. Motion is the key. And now step five may be the most important step of the entire thing. So, Henry, you've spent the first part of the morning being incredibly selfish. I just have to say, you sure have, right? You're not hitting the snooze button. You won't respond to anybody's text. You won't even answer the phone, right? You're sitting there thinking about the things that you're thankful for and things you want to do in your life. You're taking care of yourself physically. You've been incredibly selfish in the morning. Well, good for you, Henry. Now you're vibrating at an incredible frequency. So step 5 is I need you to release that powerful energy out into the universe. Send someone an encouraging message, whether it be a text message, a Facebook message, say something to one of your kids or to your wife or to a coworker. You have a responsibility now. You took time to self. You now have a responsibility to release that into the universe. What's crazy is energy is not something that can be created or something that dissipates. It can only be converted. So when you release that positive energy out into the world, not only does it make an impact in other people's lives, but it has no choice to be reciprocated back around to you in some other converted form or fashion. So those 5 steps, you do those 5 things every single day, which I've been doing those for years and years and years now. But you do those 5 simple steps, it will make a massive impact in your life.
Wow. So it's so funny you say this because I had about 4 out of the 5 pegged, and except
Nice.
that last one. That last one is powerful. You know
Game changer.
what goes around comes around, right? And I'm always conscious of that, but sometimes, you know, I just wake up and I'm tired, and I wake up when I'm just not into it. Or like today, a Monday after a holiday, it's pouring rain, cold, dark, stormy, right? And you're just like, how am I going to pump through this day?
Sure.
Right? But you do it anyway, because I think the biggest takeaway from this conversation so far, we're only kind of halfway done, is the commitment part. You made a commitment. I made a commitment. You listening or watching made a commitment to building this business, building this brand, supporting your family, creating that financial freedom, whatever you want to call it. Are you going to let setbacks, negative energy, negative thinking stop you? And that's the magic question, right? And so, you know, it all comes down to us. But I love what you said about starting your day. I don't find that selfish. I think insecure people will find that more selfish than not.
Sure, 100%. And I tease and I tease and I joke, you know, because a lot of people do feel that way. They're especially I find a lot of women and mothers in particularly. They're very They aim to serve, right? It's in their DNA to serve. And so sometimes they feel a lot of guilt when they do anything for themselves. And so I like to joke and tease and be like, yeah, so you've been selfish all morning, right? You've been selfish. Well, here's your reward. By setting your foundation, making sure that you're solid and you're vibrating at a crazy powerful frequency. By doing that, you can now serve others, right? And so when I present it that way, it helps those that have a very servant heart. It helps them to go, okay, all right, I can do that. I can take a little time to myself because it ultimately is going to benefit others. You know, Henry, it's interesting. There's this story, and hopefully you're okay with me just kind of taking this off to the right and to the left.
Dude, go. That's what you're here for.
Just making sure it's your show, you know. But sometimes I got no problem talking. I'll tell you that. But no, there's this story, man, that we've all heard before, right? But I think so many people have missed it, right? So there's this story, the 3 little pigs. Have you ever heard the story of the 3 little pigs, Henry?
Absolutely.
Right. All right. So you got the 3 little pigs, right? And the one little pig, he's kind of a lazy guy, right? And so he's like, I'm just going to throw my house together out of straw real quick because I just want to go play. Like, I'm going to go bet on the ponies down the street or whatever, right? And so he throws his house together out of straw quickly, and then he moves on. He doesn't put much work into it. His brother is like, okay, I'm going to put one leg in and one leg out. I'm going to put in a little more work than my brother did. Like, I'm going to grab some wood, some hammer, and some nails. I'm going to put this thing together a little bit more solid. It'll take me a little bit more time. I'm not going all in, though, like my other brother. He's crazy, but I'm going to put this thing together out of wood. And he does. He builds a little house out of wood, right? And then he runs off to go meet his buddy, his brother over at the track. Now, meanwhile, the third pig, right? The third pig takes time, energy, effort, and he builds his house out of brick. He has to go on YouTube. He has to learn how to line up all the bricks perfectly, how to handle the grout. Like, he has to put in a bunch of energy, a bunch of work. He taps into his mentors and his resources, asks for advice. How do you get this frame? He's got to make sure everything's dialed, right? And he builds this thing out of brick. Now, what's interesting is when the big bad wolf shows up, he goes up to the door of the straw house and he knocks and he says, open the door, I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow this house down. And he does, and he huffs and he puffs and he blows it down. And the pig that built his house out of straw goes running off, right? And so then the wolf goes to the wooden house and he does the same thing. He knocks on the door and he says, you better open the door. I'm going to huff and puff and blow the house down. And so he does. He huffs and he puffs and he blows the wooden house down, and the second little pig goes running off. And then he gets to the house made out of brick and he knocks and he says, I'm going to huff and puff and blow the house down. He tries with all of his might and he's not able to knock the house down. And so we all have heard this story, but I think the key component that most people are missing is that the first little pig and the second little pig, when they went off running after their house got blown down, where'd they go? They went to their brother's house. So their brother, by taking the time to build a solid foundation that could weather the storms, not only did he protect himself, but he was able to protect his family because they didn't put in the work. And that, to me, is the biggest message behind the Three Little Pigs. It's not about just taking the time and putting in the work to build a solid foundation for yourself, but ultimately you're able to protect and serve all of the people around you that you love and you care about, that weren't willing to do the same.
Man, isn't it crazy what we learn at such a young age?
It is.
Right? The Three Little Pigs, the story about the Three Little Pigs. I have a 3-year-old son, and this kid is obsessed with stories, right? He's constantly watching stories or listening to stories, or we're reading stories to him. But man, the amount of insight and simplicity out of that story.
Seriously,
that
man.
You can.
I mean, that's what the morning routine's all about. It's about taking the time to build that solid foundation, and it's incredible.
Yeah. Well, so as we turn the corner here, start to wrap up, right? I want to hit one more, and we kind of talked about it already, but I want to go a little deeper with it because I think there's a lot of people right now that, are dipping one toe in the water, or they would have spent X amount of money on their business or brands this year, but they're not because of COVID and they're just very scared to make any big moves, right?
Sure.
What do you tell those people? Because I love the story about the Three Little Pigs, but they're going to be like, well, the Three Little Pigs aren't going through COVID right now. Right. And again, it's just an excuse. It's just an excuse. That's all it comes down to. But I would love to learn, and have you share with the audience, like, what do you tell that scarcity mindset? Cause they're scared right now. They're not bad people. It's not like they don't want to do this. It's just, I don't know. Right now, it's a tough thing. I got kids, I got a wife, I got a family, right? What do you say?
So ultimately, the biggest lesson we all should have learned through this COVID season is that it is so incredibly important that you create your own economy. And that's what systems and processes do. It allows you to create your own economy to where no matter what storm is going on, no matter what's going on economically, you're still going to win and survive. A perfect example of this is the dealership that I was working at. I grew a dealership 800% over a period of 6 years, took it from a tiny little dealership in a small town that nobody knew about to the second largest used car franchise dealership in the country. We were able to do that in six years. And by doing so, the way that we did that is we created our own economy. We literally drew a proverbial bubble around ourselves. And we're like, we don't care what everyone else is doing. We don't care what's going on in the world. We don't care about any of that. All we care about is here's our mission. Here's what we're doing. Here's why we're here. And so we are going to create systems and processes that don't care how we feel, right? We're going to create systems and processes that no matter how we feel or no matter what's going on, as long as we execute on these systems and processes, we will continue to win. So right now, if someone's kind of in that in-between space, what I would suggest that they do is go, okay, what systems and processes were missing from my life that allowed me to be in this position right here today, where an economic downturn or a COVID or a virus or whatever has created an environment where my family is no longer safe, right? We have to look ourselves in the mirror real quick and we have to reflect on that. Typically, what you'll find when people ask themselves that question is they're going to go, you know what? I wasn't going all in before. I wasn't putting in 110%. I was kind of half-assing it. I knew I could have done more. I could have wrote that book. I could have made those videos. I could have put in those extra hours. I could have went for that promotion. I could have, right? And so in reflection, you should see, most people will see that they weren't giving 110, and that's what put them in the position they're in now. So we can't do anything about that. But learning from that, clearly not going all in is not the way to success. It clearly doesn't work. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in the position you're in right now. And so hopefully through reflection, I would challenge you to change your thinking a little bit and go, hey, the way you were doing things put you in the position you're in today. Let's try going all in 110%. And let's see where that puts you 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when the next pandemic hits or whatever it is, depression, pandemic, something's always coming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That's powerful.
That's what I'd say to that.
That's powerful. Wow.
Thank you.
I got to let that one just sit for a couple seconds. Wow. That is phenomenal. So as we wrap up, Glenn, I want to send people to where they could pick up this book and send them to your world so they can learn more about what you got going on and your ecosystem. So where could we send folks to learn more about you and what you got going on?
Yeah. So if you would like to download the ebook, it's free. You can get that at themorning5.com. That is the number 5.com. And if you'd like to learn more about me and some of the other things I'm doing with hashtag Rise and Grind and my show and all that good stuff, you can go to glennlundy.com, 1 N or 2. I bought both URLs. So you spell it however you want. But if you go to glennlundy.com, then you can learn more about Rise and Grind and all the fun stuff that we do over on that side.
Glenn, what a pleasure, dude. I'm so happy that your team reached out and said, would you consider Glenn on your show? This was such a great conversation at a very timely part of a lot of people's lives right now. And I think they need this right now to help them get through at least the end of this year and part of next until we could get out of I like what you said, season of this pandemic, because you're right. It is just a season and seasons pass and, there'll be a new season ahead. And I think what you said today is really going to help a lot of people start their day on the better foot. So really appreciate you, man, for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks, Henry. It's an absolute pleasure, man. I appreciate you.
Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminski Jr. again, and really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one console call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.